Well, that was a load of old tripe, wasn't it? Old Canelo against Skull. What a load of old tripe the whole card was. Not impressed at all. The night before was really, really bad. And I'm not saying this was as bad, but it was pretty poor. The prelim fights weren't that great. Bacoli against Jagba, I mean, not a great performance from either. And I gotta say, Bacoli is kind of going down in my estimations quite quickly now. And again, coming in way overweight. You know, you kind of look at his kind of commitment to the cause there. And you're just getting hit too much, way too much, to be any kind of threat to anybody, you know, in the elite class. I thought the Munguia fight, his performance was good. I thought Badu Jack had a half-decent fight. It was a half-decent fight. But again, he's been out of the ring for a couple of years now. And then to settle this WBC title, the cruiserweight title, okay, fine. But, you know, let's face it, we're all talking about Canelo against Skull. Another kind of opponent that... Do you blame Canelo for picking this fight? Do you blame the organisers? Well, I don't think you can blame the organisers. You can't blame Turki Al-Sheikh. Everybody wants great fights, but we're not getting them right now. But you kind of wonder what the hell's going on with the performances of a lot of these fighters right now. And it's just kind of think, well, you know, you're supposed to be bringing a show. You're supposed to be bringing something to the party to entertain, and they kind of forgetting to do that. And Skull to come to this title fight and not even really give it a good go. And then you wonder, well, is Canelo, you know, he's two-time undisputed now. You would think, wow, amazing. But then you kind of look at the fights and you think all the fights since what, 2021, it's been kind of, you know, unanimous decisions. And you think he hasn't really taken anybody out. And I know it's difficult to fight against them like Skull. And I could see he was pissed off at the end of it. But Skull, you know, why aren't you coming to fight? Why aren't you coming to try and take the bouts? Why aren't you trying to, you know, take Canelo's head off? And it was really disappointing again. So we've had two this weekend. You know, I got it completely wrong. This weekend, I was saying in a previous video, saying, look, this is going to be the greatest weekend ever. What amazing events. So this is going to be great matchups. You know, I was really looking forward to Bacoli coming back. I thought he'd come in lighter. I thought he'd come in more on point. It just wasn't. I was really interested to see Badu Jack as well, so after a 2-year layoff, and this is kind of what I expected as well. Michalian was, you know, I thought it was a half-decent fight as well, so I've got to say, not too bad. But, you know, Munguia, I was pleased for him, you know, decent performance. But overall, again, flat. It was pretty flat, and, you know, the main event was just flat. Am I blaming Canelo? I kind of am in some respects, but I'm certainly blaming Skull. But then you got to question, is Canelo that guy? Is he that guy to take these guys out? You know, we've got to think of his, you know, the time in the ring, his age as well. You know, is it catching up with him? You know, can he not really, you know, he's been accused of, you know, running from the hard fights as well. Look, he's got a Crawford fight coming up. He's coming up from the 2 or 3 weight divisions down. They're talking about Chris Eubank Jr. as well for next year. You know, I mean, you know, are we talking the absolute peak for him? I just don't think we are. That's the thing. And, you know, look, we've got Inoue against Cardenas tonight. Hey, let's see if that's a great fight. I mean, hopefully it will be. And I've never been disappointed in an Inoue fight. And Cardenas, you know, I'm hoping that he's going to bring a fight, at least an entertaining fight, and at least somebody who wants to have a go. But these fights right now, you know, who do you blame? You know, you've got to blame the fighters in many ways, you know, and to say that you know, even if the skills aren't there, even if the performance in there, it's the effort, the mentality to go in and say, this is a world title fight. This is for all the bouts. You got to give it a go. For Christ's sake, you got to give it a go. Let's know your thoughts in the comments below, but it was pretty shocking. Pretty shocking. Right. Anyway, and Cardenas, let's see if you can do it tonight in Las Vegas. But If you like what I do, just keep on watching the videos. Catch you again. Bye now.